Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, we're going to talk about a common fear that some people have, talking to a financial advisor. In fact, a lot of people would prefer to go to the dentist versus seeing a financial advisor. The question is why? We're going to peel back the covers a little bit and talk to Greg and Kristen about what it feels like when people come in to sit with them for the first time. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. What you're wearing today reminds me of when you and Greg had your wedding photos in Disney, the beautiful Cinderella dress.
Yes,
you look
the vow renewal. The vow renewal. Yes. Yeah, I love pink and blue together.
You look beautiful.
Yeah, so do you as well.
Thank you. Greg, how are you today?
Feeling a little blue.
Yeah, we all have the blues,
right? You would think we coordinated this, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
So today's show is very interesting to me because obviously people can have a lot of apprehension when it comes to meeting with a financial advisor for the very first time. Kristen, in your opinion, why is that? Why is there that fear?
You know, I think it really comes down to the fact that you don't quite maybe understand everything that's being explained. And so there's this nagging feeling underneath the surface that maybe, you know, you might be taken advantage of, or maybe you're going to feel silly because you don't understand what the person's explaining, right?
Sure.
But I think it's the advisor's job to really sit down and really read the person in the room and understand that their job isn't to just make themselves sound smart and shoot off all these numbers and facts and figures. It's to make the family that they're sitting with understand and comfortable that they're the person for the job. So there's so much that goes into the meeting, I think, more so than most people realize, and getting that comfortability factor, if that's a word.
It is.
I mean, it really is, especially for women. I mean, you know this too. We talk about this all the time. Women are just wired differently.
We are.
And even the women, so many women we meet with are strong, just beautiful business women that have done a good job. In a lot of cases, you've been the breadwinner of your family, but in your chosen field, right?
Right.
Maybe not necessarily in the financial side of things. And so making sure that you put up that persona that you are not to be taken advantage of, you know, but letting the guard down a little bit so that the advisor that you're sitting across from can understand what your individual needs are and really help accomplish your goals that you're trying to get to.
Sure.
And you know, Kristen, we've had several folks come in and just admit that they were, you know, kind of like why you don't schedule a doctor's appointment when something doesn't feel right because you're afraid that it will be confirmed and you actually find something
Or embarrassed.
is wrong.
Yeah, or embarrassed even. Yeah.
And people have confided that into me recently and just said, you know, we were a little hesitant to come in because we were worried that we would actually find out that something was wrong.
Yes.
You know, and that can be embarrassing to think, okay, maybe I should have seen it or I should have known about it, but
yeah, I mean,
how can you?
We've run into so many things. This just popped in my head. I think it's been a couple years ago where the older gentleman came in and met with you. I wasn't in the room, but he came out in tears. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because he felt like he had been taken advantage of. He didn't understand what he had been sold. I think in this case it was a variable annuity.
It was.
And he came out just visibly upset. And I came to Greg, I said, what happened? What's wrong? He said, well, he realized he was lied to.
Wow.
Whether it was purposefully or not, I mean, he was told one thing and that was not the case. And I had to point it out to him. And so, you know, things like that happen and people are worried in the back of their mind that that's going to happen. But isn't it better to be embarrassed and find out and fix it than to just let it go on
100%, yes.
Untreated and untaken care of?
In that gentleman's case, we were able to fix it.
Yep.
So he did get relief, but it was very unsettling. Someone that he trusted implicitly took advantage of him.
Oh my goodness.
And I think that's another reason people don't want to go to advisors, because they're worried that they'll be taken advantage of. You know, and that's why we set very hard and straight principles in place that we outline at the very first meeting, and that is investment decisions, Cynthia, should only be made within the context of someone's plan.
Yes.
So therefore, the plan determines what we put our money in. There's a very strong and important reason why every single thing is done.
We
Yes.
say that a lot, but let's dig into that a little more. I think part of that is understanding what's most important to the family that we're sitting with, right?
It is.
Listening, really listening. Because a lot of times people say that when they go to meet with someone that they're not being heard. Like it's just going right over the advisor's head because they have a point they're trying to make. Let's talk for a moment the importance of being a really good listener when you're a financial advisor. Kristen?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you're kind of trying to listen for cues that aren't being stated clearly. Because sometimes when you're sitting with a family who's just had their head down and worked really hard saving, they don't even really know what questions to ask. And so you have to, it's this constant back and forth of follow-up questions and really understanding what's important. I'll never forget there was a meeting we had years and years ago, and the woman was talking about her fear of investments and her fear of the market. And I mean, she was even tearing up and getting emotional a couple times. And you know, we just kept digging and asking more questions, and come to find out her parents had experienced a tremendous loss in a bank where a bank went bankrupt.
Wow, okay.
And they lost all their money. And so she had that in her mind still, and that generational, you know, emotional experience caused her to have fear that in a lot of cases was really unwarranted. But it doesn't matter if that's how you feel. It's kind of like that thing.
It's true.
Perception isn't always reality, or
Yes.
becomes reality based on how you feel, right? So,
Yes.
so you have to understand. It's almost like counseling in some ways during those first appointments. And if you're not a touchy-feely person, you may think, "Oh, that sounds cheesy," but when there's a couple involved, we've done shows on this.
Yes.
You know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I've witnessed it when Greg and I are sitting at a table and the husband's talking about all the things he's done and all the risks he's taken and how he gained, you know, 20% in this stock, and he's going on and on and just so proud of everything he's done, and the wife's sitting there just nervous as can be.
Absolutely.
Because she didn't like that. She didn't like the feeling of the possibility of losing it all, and having to navigate and find a solution for both of them becomes the task at hand.
And that's when the question comes in when you're seeing her act like that. Well, what are you
Yes.
thinking? What are you feeling?
Yes.
Exactly.
And then bringing them together so that they're on the same page.
That's
for
where I have
retirement.
fun. I love that in appointments to say, hold on, Greg, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm noticing Nancy is not looking comfortable right now.
Yes.
Let's address this. Let's figure it out. That's how I am with Greg. I like to address the issue right then and there.
Let's
Yes.
figure it out.
Get it over with, right?
Yes.
And I think that's how you get to a winning retirement, really.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a couple come in within the last 6 months, and the wife would, on Sunday morning, she would wake up at 7 and listen to our radio show on 610.
Okay.
And so she would lay in bed and listen to our radio show, and she got to know us, and she got to know about our dog Belle and our boys and our Disney trips and all that. And so she got really comfortable with us. And her husband was out playing golf typically early on Sunday, or out in the yard or doing other things. And so he didn't listen to the show. But he was the one that primarily did the investing.
Okay.
So she brought the husband in kicking and screaming, just about literally.
Okay.
She
Just
would
very,
Oh, yeah.
just not wanting to be there. Yes.
For sure. She was sitting there on the edge of her chair, and he was leaning back, and he didn't even want to shake my hand when I first walked in.
Wow. Okay.
And so, you know, I sat down and I start talking, and I usually ask a question. Okay, there's certain risks that everybody faces. Which ones are most concerning to you? Stock market volatility, outliving your savings, you know, taxes, things like that. And I asked each of them to list them. Well, hers were totally opposite to his. And so hence
wow.
was the problem. He had an appetite for risk that was huge. She had a very small appetite, and just getting them both on the same page. And a lot of people don't go see an advisor because they don't know that they can be on the same page.
Oh, and it's so important
Yeah.
for a happy marriage and a happy retirement.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's what Tony says too. I love it.
Yes.
Kristen, I know that you and Greg have a very special offer. Let's talk about what that is before we open the phone lines.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think just getting the ball rolling and getting started is the most important thing you can do when maybe you aren't on the same page, maybe you're not comfortable with where you're where you're at and getting ready to retire. So you can call our office at 614-336-7660, or you can just click on the QR code right on the screen and click schedule now and schedule an appointment so that you can get started towards your running retirement.
Kristen, thank you so much. And Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, we have to take a very short commercial break. Once again, that number is 614-336-7660. And are you on the right path for retirement? If not, today is the perfect time to figure out how you can change it. We're going to take a very short commercial break. We'll be right back momentarily talking about choosing the right financial advisor for your needs. Stay tuned.
I'm sometimes nervous when I don't know exactly what to expect. I find that there's a little hesitation in folks to want to go meet with an advisor. Maybe they're not sure of how they've done compared to others, but it's really our job to just sit down and have a conversation. There's an advisor for almost every street corner here in our city. At Legacy Retirement Group, we believe that if you plan smart, you can retire well. We want you to be successful in any economy. And how do you accomplish that in today's world? Well, we first want to look at the principles by which we're playing. You know, no investment decision should ever be made outside the context of your plan. Then your plan determines your positions and what you hold in retirement. We want you to manage risk. We want you to not be surprised by healthcare costs or inflation or taxes. We don't want those to derail your retirement, and our focus has always been consistency and efficiency. Really trying to maintain what it is that we've spent our lifetime accumulating and now transitioning that into a plan, transitioning that into something that feels secure and gives me peace of mind so that I know I'm not going to outlive my money. It's nice to see that relief in people's faces when you can tell they're confident in their plan.
Greg really gets pleasure out of seeing our client's success.
And welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And we're talking all about the importance of choosing the right financial advisor, especially for your retirement years. So Greg and Kristen, I should ask you a question to our viewers in the audience today who are sitting out there and they're thinking, should I call in? Should I pick up my phone? Should I click on that QR code? I have to ask a question. What does it feel like when someone first comes into the office? Greg, what can they expect if they're a caller from the show today?
Well, first of all, they can expect a warm welcome.
Yay.
You know, we have a fantastic team at Legacy Retirement Group. We really do. The team that we have, they care so much about the people that we serve.
And it starts with the first phone call, really.
It really does. And I can say that our team really, really cares. I mean, the people that we've served for many, many years, when they struggle, our team is praying for them. They're crying about the situation they're in. I mean, they get emotional about the people we serve. So that part we feel very confident in. People are going to feel welcome.
Like a family.
It really is. But beyond that, the first visit is all about discovery. We want to discover what someone's truly passionate about, what retirement is going to look like for them, what they want it to look like, what it can possibly look like. And understand where they want to go. Because I say this over and over again, it's not our plan, it's their plan. And we don't really have a predetermined approach. We want to understand what it is somebody wants to do, what they want the retirement to look like, and discover all that. We ask a lot of questions. We ask them to fill out the My Retirement Kit before they come in so we have a sense as to what's important to them. And then we let them ask us questions as well, because it is a two-way relationship. You know, we need to feel comfortable we can help, and they need to feel comfortable that we are the team to help.
Sure.
So that's discovery. Then the second meeting is more informational, because we are going to test what they're doing, and then we're going to give them information about their current plan, their current situation, help them understand if there's any shortcomings that are there. And then they know, based on information that's out there, like Morningstar and other credible sources that can give us good information. And then we can give them some comparisons and give them some ideas as to what they can do to perhaps better their situation. And now they have the equipment necessary to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
So discovery, information, and then it's the plan.
Okay.
They get their plan so that we can now say, okay, here's where you get income. Here's how you make your portfolio more efficient. Here's how you address taxes for the future. Here's what we do about health care. Here's who you can talk to about your elder law need or your estate planning need. You're getting ready to go on Medicare. Here's the Medicare person that can help you get that insurance laid out for you so you can be good there. Here's some tax planners that can help you with taxes. So that's a big, big part of it, is getting through that, getting the plan, and then if those 3 steps go well, then we implement.
Okay, all right. So, Kristen, with the first consultation that you're meeting with someone for the first time, is it the more information you have, the better the meeting goes? Meaning, do you bring documents in? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will often say, some people will have, a file cabinet full or a box full of documents, and there may be one that only feels comfortable sharing the things that they're concerned about. So we kind of meet you where you are on some of those things, but we do need to understand where you're at. Have you ever gotten a phone call from, a utility company where they as soon as you pick up the phone, I'd like to save you money on your
Yes, all the
whatever
time.
bill, or I can save you money.
Yes.
Well, how do you know you can save me money? You don't really
Right.
know what I have. You don't have access to my billing. You don't really have the information you need in order to assess the situation and say that you can save me money confidently, right?
Right.
So we don't want to do that either. We want to make sure that we have all the information, understand that if our analysis is incomplete, we don't know where all the money is, then how do we really truly say what we can do for you moving forward?
Yeah.
And I think that question brings up a good point. One of the questions we get asked quite often is, can we just give you this account and see how it does? Okay? Say it's a $500,000 account that they've not been happy with, and they just want to hand that over to us and see how it does. The problem with that is we do holistic planning. So we're looking at the families that we work with, complete situation, and deciding if it makes sense to make any changes to make them more efficient and optimize their income and investments for retirement. How can you really do that with one account?
That's true.
It's not really going to fit into the puzzle of the plan if you're just doing that. Now,
True.
having said that, there are families we work with that have other advisors, that have money other places, but we're looking at the whole picture as we're trying to manage the piece that the family has brought to us. So there's some coordination effort that has to happen.
It does, and I think what you're saying is that we're not transactional.
That's right.
It's
I
not.
guess that would have been a quicker way
Yeah, I mean,
to say
No,
it.
I loved your
they're not going to pull up, and
explanation.
we're not going to ask them if they want fries with that. Okay, I
Right.
mean that's just
Yeah.
not how we work.
Right.
It's there's got to be, again, we go back to our principles. Investment decisions should only be made within the context of your plan.
Yes.
So how can we recommend anything to anyone if it doesn't fit within a plan?
That's true.
So if someone just says, hey, I want to put $100,000 in this insurance product, we don't do that.
Right. That's why I gave that little caveat. There's situations where we've worked with families that have a lot of wealth that have different parts of their plan that we're aware of.
Yes. So essentially what we want to do, Cynthia, is meet people where they are. We're going to give people a list of things that we think are prudent to bring in so that we can do the best for them. But if they're not comfortable with any aspect, we're going to meet them where they are and hopefully get them to the place where they feel comfortable enough to where we can actually be a help.
Perfect. Well, Greg and Kristen, it's time for our second commercial break. Would that be okay?
Yes.
All right. To our viewers at home, there's a number to call on the screen, 614-336-7660. And if you're sitting in the viewing audience and you're asking yourself, do I have the right financial advisor that's working for me? Well, there's an important thing that we'd like to talk about. There's a difference between the accumulation phase of life, which is in your busy working years, versus when you get to the distribution phase of life, when you're responsible for creating your own income streams in retirement. If you don't have that type of advisor to help you with that trajectory, this is the perfect time for you to call in today, 614-336-7660. If you don't have your pen handy, that's okay. Grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page. You can claim your spot with Greg and Kristen accordingly. Remember, it's a non-judgment zone. They've heard it all. Feel free to come in and let them listen to what your dreams and goals are for retirement. We'll be right back on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Stay tuned.
They've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. Bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And it's time for our viewer question of the week. I love this time of the show because we like to listen to what you're thinking about and what your questions are for Greg and Kristen. So here we go. Greg, I'm going to guide this to you if you don't mind. It says, my wife and I are both age 64 and plan to retire in 1 year when we are both eligible for Medicare. We have been with our current advisor for over 15 years, but lately we've had questions that he hasn't been able to answer about our retirement. We are currently in a 60-40 blend of mutual funds. Should we consider finding a retirement advisor?
Well, I think in general, the person that helps us throughout the accumulation phase of our working years is not typically equipped to get us through the distribution phase of retirement. It's a totally different skill set. I do not claim to have the skill set of helping a 30-year-old gain accumulation over a 30-year period. That's not what we do, and that's not what we try to really focus on. And so therefore, I think it makes perfect sense when someone's transitioning that they transition advisors. Now, in a very few cases, I've seen people that were skilled to some degree in both, but I find that very rare.
Okay.
So in general, yes, I think they should look for a new advisor.
Okay.
Unless they feel 100% confident. But when you're asking questions about Social Security and you're asking questions about Medicare and you're asking questions about Roth conversions and you're asking questions about taxes, you're asking questions about IRMA and how that impacts your Medicare Part B premium and Medicare Part D premium, you're asking these types of questions that are very specifically retirement focused, and the advisor doesn't have the answers, then you know that they're not a retirement focused advisor.
True.
And it's hard to have a retirement financial plan when you really are just in a financial plan. And they work in almost opposite directions of one another because of it's really an opposite goal. You see, when you're working and you're putting money in out of each and every paycheck, you're really being a great beneficiary of dollar cost averaging. You can even have a somewhat inefficient portfolio, and in general, you would find that mutual funds aren't super efficient, but because you're putting money in out of every paycheck, it didn't matter that they weren't super efficient because you were efficient of putting money away every paycheck, you reap the benefits. Well, the moment you retire and all of a sudden you watch that nest egg now go up and down with this stock market, you realize the inefficiencies that you're in, and now you've got this big nest egg that rides that 60-40 portfolio. And that was always kind of the 60-40 was that blend that they would kind of hold up as this is kind of what you should be invested in. But then we found in 2022, just recently, that stocks and bonds both went down double digits in the same year, and we realized that 40% didn't necessarily protect us. Because it's not now a matter of asset allocation, it's a matter of a function of, okay, now we build our portfolio differently. And we're not just accumulating, we're now taking distributions.
Absolutely.
So the way you handle that isn't by an asset allocation, it's by a bucket approach. And you have three buckets then. You go to the bucket of liquidity, which is for your emergencies. It's your sleep well at night money. It's for that trip you want to take. It's for that unexpected emergency. It's all those things is what that money's for. Then your income bucket is there to help you pay your bills. It's there to help you take the grandkids on a vacation. It's there for you and your wife to go on a vacation and do fun things. And what it's there for is to provide your lifestyle. So your growth bucket is there for the long-term growth. It's there to beat inflation. It's there for extra taxes. It's there for those things that come up in life that happen down the road. So this is why you don't just stick with the same advisor, because the ability to be skilled in an asset allocation model isn't necessarily the ability to be skilled in a 3-bucket approach.
That makes perfect sense. So overall, Kristen, how important is it to have a second opinion if you're not sure if you're with the right advisor?
Oh, that's of the utmost importance, because, you know, I like to say a lot of times it's a sounding board more than a second opinion, because, you know, as you're thinking through the things and maybe Googling information, getting some information from friends, you need someone that has the knowledge and experience that's dealt in these areas to really confirm the answers you maybe found, right? And then as you go through retirement, understanding all the while that there's going to be things that come up throughout life, throughout those years, that are going to be additional questions. So many families we've worked with over the years have had new things come up that just were not expected when we first set out to do the plan. So things needed to be modified and changed based on where they were in life at the time. And so having that person there as the second opinion is really important.
Well, Kristen, you and Greg have a very special offer to present today. Let's talk about what that is before we say goodbye to the viewers.
Well, the hardest part of this whole process is getting started. I know when Greg and I need to make an appointment for something, we kind of stress about it because we don't know our calendar. We don't know the kids' calendars and schedules. And so we've made it really, really easy on our website. All you have to do is go to legacyretirementgroup.com and click on Schedule Now. And you're able to see the availability of the advisors in our office based on just a couple questions you have to answer. You don't even need to call. However, if you like to make that call, you can at 614-336-7660.
Kristen, thank you so much. And Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, most specifically, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us today on Winning Retirement TV. That number to call once again is 614-336-7660. We know that you have a lot of questions about how to plan your perfect retirement. Greg and Kristen have the answers for you. Don't forget to call in 614-336-7660. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Take care.